Merhaba everyone, and welcome to... This is West Asia, and here's Turkey. Now let's go, shall we? Primarily situated on the peninsula of Anatolia, the land of Turkey boasts an exceedingly ancient history. The Neolithic sites discovered in the country reveal that human beings, apparently before they knew how to make pots, could carve and assemble monumental stones and sculpt figures with dexterity. The most famous of these sites is that of Göbekli Tepe, which is still being excavated and pondered over. This same region of what's now Turkey was also part of the Fertile Crescent, wherein the first civilizations arose. Cities, farms, writing, a lot was happening. In the Bronze Age we meet the mysterious Hattians with their unknown language and metalwork skills, the Hurrians who fought Egypt with their Mitanni Empire, and of course the Hittites who fought both the Mitanni and the Egyptians. The Hittites grew strong enough to dominate Anatolia and stop the northern expansion of Ramses II, but succumbed to the upheaval that was the Late Bronze Age collapse and... collapsed. Another city that fell at this time was Troy, located here on the strait known as the Dardanelles. Maybe there's a link between this and the legend of the Trojan War, immortalized by Homer in the Iliad. The Iron Age saw the extensive arrival of Greek settlers, who established many cities including Ephesus, Miletus, Smyrna, and Byzantium. A number of kingdoms reigned in such regions as Lydia, Lycia, Paphlagonia, Phrygia, Cappadocia, Cilicia, and Caria. The king of Lydia, Croesus, came to rule a large portion of the peninsula and was famed for his immense wealth. Yet while his kingdom was great, another power was burgeoning in the east, the Persians. King Cyrus conquered not only Lydia, but all Anatolia, which became part of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. In 499 BC, the Greeks of the west coast revolted against Persian rule, ultimately leading to a much larger conflict. Following the surprise Persian defeat after invading Greece, the coastal cities were liberated. Most of Anatolia remained under Persian rule, however, until the conquests of Alexander, after which the Greek language, religion, and culture took firm root. Two of the 7 wonders of the world were built in what's now Turkey, the Temple of Artemis and the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, the same city in which Herodotus, the father of history, was born. Here he is looking as if someone took the last donut. Celts invaded and settled in central Anatolia and became known as Galatians after Gaul, and to the east the Armenians established a prominent kingdom, but everyone ended up conquered by Rome. The Romans gobbled up all Anatolia, and standing to this day is the evidence of their many centuries of rule, including this fine aqueduct. During Roman rule, Christianity spread through Anatolia, and 3 of the letters of the Apostle Paul were addressed to churches there. Big changes arrived with Constantine, the first emperor to embrace Christianity, who moved the capital from Rome to Byzantium, which he named Constantinople after himself. When the western half of the Roman Empire fell to German invaders, the other half survived. This Greek-speaking Eastern Roman Empire is known to us as the Byzantine Empire, which attained its pinnacle of power in the 6th century under Emperor Justinian, whose general Belisarius conquered with proficiency. Legislative innovations were instituted, which greatly influenced subsequent Western law, and art, thought, and culture flourished, and the glorious Hagia Sophia was constructed, for centuries the largest cathedral in the world. But the bigger your empire is, the more you have to defend it, and over its long lifespan, Byzantium expanded and contracted like a pair of transcontinental lungs. The 7th century brought devastation at the hands of the Arabs, who, fired up by their new religion of Islam, invaded and conquered Byzantine territories. Much of the Arab success was due to good timing, as Byzantium was exhausted from perpetual war with Persia. The Arab caliphates snatched bits of Anatolia, but they were never able to capture Constantinople. Aiding the Byzantines was their secret weapon, Greek fire. Its chemical composition remains unknown, but whatever it was, it burned on water and was utilized against the enemy via grenades and siphons, that is, flamethrowers. Byzantium began to recover and enjoyed a resurgence under its Macedonian dynasty, but then came the thunderclap that would prove the harbinger of Byzantine doom. The Turks! Yes, here they are at last. Originating in East Asia, either in Siberia or Mongolia, Turkic tribes began migrating west and converted to the Islamic religion that they encountered there. The Seljuk Turks founded a powerful state in the Middle East, which adopted Persian culture and beat the Byzantines, but lost against the Crusaders. Outlasting the Seljuk Empire was their sultanate named Rum, after Rome, which reached its apogee under Kekubat I. The sultanate declined steadily after it was crushed in battle by the Mongols, and ended up splitting into smaller segments. But now, let's see how Constantinople's going. What's going on? Crusaders on their way to Jerusalem entangled themselves in Byzantine politics, and, after not getting paid, ended up doing the unthinkable, sacking the city. Crusaders plundered the grandest metropolis in the world, causing irreparable damage, and trouncing any Byzantine hopes of ever regaining their lost lands. Alright, well, back to the Turks. Osman I carved out a chunk of Anatolia for himself, and began a conquering tradition his descendants would emulate. Murad I more than doubled Ottoman territory before he died, fighting the Serbs in 1389. His successor, with his cool beard, continued with the campaigning until he was defeated in the Battle of Ankara against the Uzbek leader Timur. This led the Ottoman Empire to descend into civil war, in which the Sultan's sons fought for the throne. A huge boost to Turkish imperial ambition came with Mehmed II, who in 1453 finally conquered Constantinople, which was pillaged while its citizens were massacred, enslaved, etc., and the Hagia Sophia made to serve as a mosque. Mehmed made the city his capital, and oversaw much building and patronized the arts. Here he is, very seriously sniffing a flower. Constantly at war as they were, the Ottomans always needed soldiers, and found a good way of acquiring them. Kidnapping! Yep, the Devshirme system involved the abduction of European children, who were forced to convert to Islam and serve the army. And Ottoman military might certainly proved itself under Selim the Grim, who conquered the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt, and massively enlarged Turkish rule. Much of his success was no doubt due to his sensational mustache. Under Suleiman the Magnificent, the Ottoman Empire reached its peak of strength and richness. Plush palaces, whirling dervishes, harems, eunuchs, and janissary warriors are just some of the images that spring to mind when the word Ottoman is mentioned, though others might just think of the thing you put your feet on. Suleiman certainly wanted to put his feet on more land, and campaigned vigorously. In the east, he invaded Persian domains and captured Baghdad. In the west, he took Belgrade and defeated the Hungarians. Suleiman was succeeded by Selim II, known as the Drunkard, during whose reign the Ottomans captured Cyprus, but then suffered a ruinous defeat at sea in the Battle of Lepanto. When Mehmed III ascended the throne as Sultan, he had all 19 of his brothers killed. Ahmed I did not do that, but he rather built the glorious Blue Mosque in Constantinople. In 1683, with their empire at its territorial zenith, the Ottomans marched on Vienna in Austria and besieged it, but were defeated after the arrival of Polish forces. The war that followed saw the Ottomans lose territory to European powers. As the 18th century progressed, the Ottoman Empire's decline became more and more evident as it fell behind Western Europe in modernization. A war against Russia ended in defeat, and then another ended the same way. To remedy the shortcomings, Mahmud II passed reforms, but the losses kept piling on. Against Russia, against France, and from within their own empire, the Greeks launched a successful war of independence, and Ottoman efforts to address the rising nationalism of other subject nations flopped. Still, an alliance with Britain and France saw a win against Russia in the Crimean War, but then a loss against Russia as more nations broke away and gained independence, and Britain took control of Egypt and Cyprus. When the Armenians, tired of being second-class citizens, dared to appeal for better treatment, the Sultan gave Kurdish bandits permission to attack them. Still, the Armenians protested, and so they were attacked again. Assaults that spiraled into a general slaughter of Christians. Tens of thousands died. In retaliation, Armenian nationalists attempted to assassinate the Sultan. In 1908, a group known as the Young Turks, led by men like Ahmed here with his marvelous mustache, revolted against the tyrannical Sultan, demanding the restitution of parliament and the constitution. In 1909, as the Sultan attempted to regain power, mobs decided to slaughter Armenians again, about 20,000 this time. But Turkish losses were far greater when they were kicked out of the Balkans. These Bulgarians are posing proudly in front of dead Turkish civilians. Truly a time of misery. In World War I, the ailing Ottoman Empire joined Germany to fight against the Allies, famously winning at Gallipoli before incurring defeat in the Mesopotamian campaign. The Arabs had eagerly joined the Allies to cast off Ottoman rule, but before the empire fell, it roared once more against its non-Turkish inhabitants. Hundreds of thousands of Assyrians and Greeks were killed, and over 1 million Armenians were slaughtered in a triple genocide that the Turkish government to this day denies. The chief architect of the atrocities was assassinated by an Armenian soldier in 1921. The next year, the Ottoman Empire officially ended, and the future of partitioned Turkey was being decided via war. Constantinople was occupied by the Allies, and the Turks aimed to do something about it. Turkish forces secured the south with a victory over the French, and repelled the Greek push to acquire Anatolian land. With the Sultanate abolished, the Republic of Turkey was born in 1923, and Mustafa Kemal became the first president, later known as Atatürk. He aimed to transform Turkey into a modern secular state, and passed a number of reforms ranging from allowing women to vote to changing the alphabet. Turkey avoided World War II and joined NATO. However, when the government became restrictive and the economy faltered, there was a coup, and then another. Amidst clashes between Greeks and Turks on Cyprus, Turkey invaded and occupied the north. This haven for Turkish Cypriots declared independence in 1983, but only Turkey recognizes it. Meanwhile, there was another coup, and an escalation in the long, bloody, ongoing conflict with the Kurds, a large Iranian minority that demand independence. Turkey also began to apply for membership in the EU, but negotiations decelerated due to concerns over Turkey's human rights violations, concerns that only amplified under President Erdogan. Anyway, Turkey today enjoys a very high level of human development, and is one of the most visited nations in the world, and possesses one of the largest economies. And its borders have encompassed great human achievements ranging from literature and philosophy, sport, science, and cinema. And we can't forget that delicious food. So that's it for Turkey, and that's all from me for now. Bye-bye!